the race across America, Paris-Brest-Paris, the Carmel Valley Double Century in California, and riding virtual through this COVID-19 pandemic. In today's episode, we'll be covering everything from 200-mile bicycle rides to multi-day cycling events. We'll also be covering brevets, training, nutrition, and everything ultra. I'm your host, Justin Tu. Let's roll. Hey Ultra family, Justin Tu here, host of the Ultra Cycling Show. Thanks for tuning in to another special episode. Today I've got a very special guest and a longtime friend now in the ultra cycling community, Dzung Dang. Currently, Dzung resides in San Jose, California, and he has a whole list of accomplishments, and I'm sure a lot more in his future plans. Dzung has ridden 75 double centuries to date. He's also bicycled across America twice, including once in the race across America. He's completed the infamous 508 three times, which is 508 miles. He's completed Paris-Brest-Paris on 2 occasions. He's also the organizer of the Carmel Valley Double Century here in California. And he's also the founder of the XDV Bicycle Club, which is a diverse group of endurance cyclists. So Dzung, nice to have you on the show. Thanks for taking the time to chat.
Hi, Justin. I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
All right, Dzung. Well, I would love to start with our sprint round of questions. Just a series of questions. You can give a 1 or 2 sentence response just to let us all know who you are in a nutshell. First question, how long have you been riding bicycles?
Since 10 years old, and
Okay.
I'm turning 60 this year.
Wow, congratulations.
So I guess, 50 years?
Wow, okay, that's fantastic. Now, how long have you been an ultra cyclist?
I started riding double century in 2010, so I would say 10 years ago.
Oh, cool. About the same time as me. Okay, the very important question of the day, how many bicycles do you own?
It's always N+1. I
Right.
have 4 road bikes and 1 mountain bike.
Wow, that's awesome. Oh, which is your favorite bicycle?
My favorite, I would say my old steel Torelli. Um, I just love the feel of the steel. And
Right.
for long distance randonneuring, I would ride my steel bike. And
Oh,
the
okay.
second favorite would be my carbon, the Pinarello Prince carbon. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Now, which bicycle do you ride the most?
The Torelli.
Okay, the steel
Yeah.
frame. Very
Mhm.
cool. Okay, what bicycle computer do you use? Garmin, Wahoo, any
I
other
still have
brand?
the old Garmin 520.
Oh,
I
cool.
use it just to record and navigation. Very simple function. Not a
Yeah.
whole lot of bells and whistles, but it worked.
Yeah, that's all you need, right? All you
Yes,
need is 2 wheels and direction, I suppose.
exactly.
Okay, what's your favorite ride snack?
My favorite ride. I
Snack. No, your favorite ride snack.
snack. Oh,
Yeah.
well, to be honest, I like spam musubi for long ride. Rice,
Oh, okay.
spam wrapped with seaweed,
Okay.
and of course, IPA,
Oh,
Indian
right.
Pale Ale as hydration.
Cool. Awesome. All right. So that covered the other question, your favorite hydration. But how about on the bike, your favorite hydration?
Just water, and I use Infinite Nutrition, also Tailwind for
Yeah.
the liquid nutrition. But during brevets and double century, I at lunchtime I always eat solid food like spam
Okay.
musubi or a sandwich.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Now, when was your last ride and how long was it?
I rode a double century yesterday, um, organized by the LA Wheelmen. Um, they offer a virtual double grand tour, double century. So
Wow.
a few friends of mine and I rode Santa Cruz to Half Moon Bay, and we do repeats to get 200 miles and 8,500 feet of climbing.
Wow,
Just finished it.
congratulations.
Thanks.
You're looking pretty good after that. How you feeling?
Okay, it was fun. We were blessed with very cool weather toward the coast. Our
Cool.
coastline is gorgeous, and lucky, in the morning heading north to Half Moon Bay, hardly any headwind. But when we turns around, very nice tailwind, and it helped. When you riding southbound on Highway 1.
Nice. That sounds cool. We'll get into that ride tomorrow that you did yesterday more here later. Couple more sprint round questions. Do you prefer climbs, descents, rollers, or flats?
Um, for Double Century, to be honest, my favorite one is a Devil Mountain Double. I don't like climbing. It's just the core is challenging, and all the climbs is in my backyard. So
Okay.
Devil Mountain Double, Mount Diablo, Mount Hamilton, Sierra. You've done it several times.
Right.
So and I don't like rollers. Rollers just wear me out because I know
Okay.
after a long climb, I have a nice long descent. That's the reward, and I love descending.
Okay.
So
Okay. So you love descending. That's the
yes,
short answer.
yes,
And you're willing to
but you
go
have to
through all the
climb
pain.
to
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. I'm sure there's a lot of other people. I know Jason Perez is probably one of those same guys, although I
Uh,
think he probably likes climbing too, but he was a
he's a
professional
faster climber
motorcycle
than
racer.
me.
So yeah, he bombs the descents. All right. Next one. When do you enjoy riding the most? Which season? Fall, winter, spring, or summer?
Of course, early spring and late fall. It's just the weather, the climate.
Right.
I
Nice
like it.
weather.
I like it. I like cold weather
Right.
versus the heat. Say the Southern Inyo double, that triple digit heat.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And or going across America, and we'll get into that when you're
Oh
going through
yes,
the desert. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Two more here. Do you think ultra cycling requires more physical or mental training?
You know, I think mental training, because you know, physically you can train hard to build yourself, with good cardio and strength. But at times, dealing with the elements, you have to dig deep,
Mm-hmm.
to mentally strong and finish the ride. I think it'd be harder, dealing with the elements.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Last sprint round question before we dive into the grand tour of questions, where we'll discuss in more length. What is your favorite event?
I would have to say Paris-Brest-Paris. It's 1,200 kilometers, um, from Paris to the city on the Atlantic Ocean, Brest, and then turns around. And they have it every 4 years. So it's the Olympics of randonneuring, which is a
Right.
self-support ride.
That's awesome. All right. Well, that's a lot about you already. So thanks for sharing that. Really excited to dive into more detail. So let's enter into the next round of grand tour questions. So these ones would definitely
Okay.
love to just chat in more length about everything. Of course, first and foremost, I'm interested. I've known you for some time, probably, I think 5, 6 years at this stage. I think we met around 2014. But you said you started ultra cycling about 2010 and you've been riding for 50 some years. How did you get introduced to ultra cycling? Who introduced you? What event did you start with?
Um, well, I start bike commuting in 2000, and it's 15 miles one way, so 30-mile round trip. And then my first century is the Tierra Bella hosted by the Armadan Cycle Touring Club. So I rode my first century in 2005. And after that, you want to push yourself for more distance. Once you have the base and and finally in 2010, I tried the first double, Solvang Spring Double.
Right. Now, was the first century you did, was that something you decided to sign up for on your own, or you did it with some friends?
Well, yes, with my bike commute buddies,
Oh, okay.
and there's like four of us at the time, and we rode the Tierra Bella together,
That's
and that
cool.
was a really big event in San Jose. I think that year over 1,000 riders.
Wow, that must have
Yeah.
been really fun. I suppose it's a very well supported event as well.
Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Now, whose ride idea was it? Who proposed the idea of riding this 100-mile ride?
Of course, it was me.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see. Okay.
I I've seen it on local adventure cycling.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
news, yeah,
Uh-huh.
that you pick up at the bike shop, and I saw that and got me interested.
Okay, very cool. So, in addition to the first event that you did, both that 100-miler and then also the Solvang Double Century, what are some other memorable past events you've completed? In the introduction that I gave for you, I mean, there was a host of them, and you know, we'll see how much of it we could discuss. But what are the ones that are most memorable for you?
Um, you forgot to mention, I rode in Vietnam. I came back in 2012 and did a bike tour from Saigon to Hanoi, and to help fundraise to buy uh, bicycles for the orphans and the needy children in Vietnam. So that was very memorable. Riding, in a remote region of Vietnam, especially the central region, and it took me 11 days to cover approximately 10,000 miles.
Wow.
So basically, almost a century a day.
Right. Oh, you mean it was 1,000 miles?
Yes, from
Okay, thousand.
Saigon to
Okay,
Hanoi. Yeah,
right. 1,000 miles. You took 10 days, about 100 miles a day.
11 days. Yeah,
11 days. Sorry. Oh, that's really cool. So it sounds like you enjoy supporting causes for different events because I know in 2015, inspired by something that I had done in 2014, you bicycled across America with the team. I think there were two others on your team in that case.
correct. Yes,
And
Phong Nguyen and
right,
Christina Catunau. Yes.
that's right. And you supported and raised funds for another nonprofit organization. Tell me
Yes,
more about that.
the organization is uh, BPSOS. Um, the organization helped the Vietnamese refugee in the 80s and 90s. Later, there's a small group that formed CAMSA, Coalition to Abolish Modern Day Slavery in Asia.
Right.
So we fundraise to bring awareness about um, human trafficking, and uh, to bring awareness, also to fundraise to help fight the um, the human trafficking issue in Southeast Asia.
That's that's very special because in 2014, when I biked across America, I was also supporting an anti-human trafficking organization, and I remember being able to partner on that. And I've always felt through my ultra cycling career that supporting, community causes, whether local or international, has been a great way to use ultra cycling as a platform for good, and
Mm-hmm.
also just to join the community. And for me, it has always been a big inspiration and motivation to train for especially very large or long distance events like RAAM, like you've done Paris-Brest-Paris. You've also done the 508 on a number of occasions. Some of those other events that you've done, I'd love to touch on them just to hear about your experiences in them. I mean, perhaps the Paris-Brest-Paris, you've done that twice. I know that's a very popular international event. People come from all around the world to participate in that. How do you even get in? From my understanding, I mean, you have to qualify just like many of the ultra events. Tell me a bit about that and how you qualified and the whole process leading up to that. I mean, it only happens every 4 years, so I'm guessing it's a very big deal. I haven't personally done it.
Yes, in the U.S., the RUSA, Randonneur USA, and there's qualifying events, 200 kilometers, 300, 400, and 600 kilometers. You have to ride that before, in that year of PBP, you do that series before June. Uh, you know, each brevet length has a certain time limit. Say the 600 kilometers, you have to finish under 40 hours in order to, complete a 1200 kilometers under 90 hours.
Right.
So yes, and after that, you qualify and sign up for the event.
Yeah. So it sounds like a lot of training through those events. I guess that'll prepare you pretty well for Paris. Or tell me more about what you did to train for the actual event.
Well, you just have to ride. Basically,
Yeah.
the year before the PBP year, usually you allow training to do your longest ride. Say 2019 is the PBP year. That means 2018 I have to do a long one so that I can sign up earlier than the rest of the folks that ride shorter distance. If you finish a 1200K in 2018, you are first to sign up in
Okay.
2019.
So there
So
are limited spots, and I'd imagine it's pretty
correct.
competitive to get a
Um,
registration.
I believe RUSA always have all the randonneurs enter to the event. They didn't turn down anyone, but still
Oh, okay.
minimum you have to ride at least a 200 kilometers. Yeah,
Right.
minimum. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a bit. So it definitely sounds like you take some good stepping stones to get your fitness up to where you need to be, just in terms of the qualifying events.
Yes. Yeah. I just love riding brevet because self-supported and you manage your own downtime.
Right.
Your sleep pattern. It's up to you. You have to ride your own ride, and
Right.
sometimes it's hard to ride with someone. It's just different paces. Your body have different sleep patterns. So
Yeah.
I roll with friends at PBP, and I tell them just do your ride, and we meet at control and
Okay.
or at the finish.
Right. Now, how does PvP or any other brevet, how does that compare to the double centuries? I mean, some double centuries they have a lot more people. Say the Davis double century, could be hundreds, close to 1,000 participants some years. And brevets, I mean, how do they compare in terms of the number of people? I'd imagine like a 1200K wouldn't have that many out. I mean, are you riding with other people generally?
Oh yes, last year there's 6,000 riders, register, and at least the first 2 nights, I look up, I see red lights, and
Okay.
behind me there's a headlight. So I remember only the third night it started to thin out. Everybody have this different sleeping pattern. But the
Right.
first two
And
nights, I
and
know.
so are you talking about PBP? You said 6,000 registrations for that
Yes,
specific? Oh,
yeah,
okay. Right.
Paris-Brest-Paris 2019, though, 6,000 riders.
Right,
And they
right.
would let out, I believe, 200 riders every half hours. So the
Okay.
stagger start.
Staggered start. Now, how about the qualifying brevets or any other brevet that you do outside of PBP? How many people usually participate in those? And especially on, once you get to the longer distances.
The 200K, we have, about 100 riders, but getting towards 600 kilometers, maybe only 20 or 30. And some event they only limit 50 riders, especially the 1,200 kilometers in the U.S. It's just because the support.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Now, how does it usually work? Again, I have not done any brevets. I've personally done ultra cycling for 10 years now and mostly focused on specific events, the double centuries, and then a few longer distances that I've done on my own, biking from San Francisco down to LA on a number of occasions, biking across America on 2 occasions. I have not done any brevets. I think perhaps in the future I may participate. So I'm not very familiar. How does it usually start? I know like double centuries. I mean, back
Mhm.
in the day, there used to be a lot of mass starts. These days, there's multiple starts. How is it for brevets? I mean, if there's only 20, 30 people, are they usually all starting around the same time? Is there a window to start?
No, brevets always mass start, and we start together. Say the 600 kilometers, you have 40 hours to complete, and the well, at least for me, you would ride 400 kilometers, which is 250 miles approximately, and trying to get some sleep in. Usually, the control is set up. The overnight control is around 250 miles mark, so that the next day you will complete 125 miles. So that's the goal. 400K per day, get some sleep, and ride the
Yeah,
next day. Same thing with a 1200K. You break it up, divide and conquer.
yeah,
You ride 40K. Next day, maybe another 400, and maybe the distance get less, 300K, things like that. You have 90 hours. So that's the maximum. There's other group as well. I believe 80 hours and the 84 hours for faster riders.
mm,
I've done it twice, but all in the 90-hour group, both of them.
yeah. That's one of the things that I also enjoy about ultra cycling, especially once you get into the multi-day events. Everybody can have their own strategy, and depending on your style or whether you like the heat or the cold or the climbs or the flats, you can make those adjustments, and when you want to sleep, how long do you want to sleep. And so I always find that a nice challenge because especially from one event to another, you can make improvements. You could see where
Mhm.
you didn't do so well, better preparation, better gear, better support team, better communication, all those kinds of things. And it does sound like with brevets, especially those longer distances, it's quite a lot of discipline that you have to have as an individual rider just to keep yourself moving, right? And
Yes.
minimize the amount of off bike time that you have, right?
Yeah, if you're off the bike, you better be eating or sleeping or, a bathroom break. But
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you want to keep moving all
right,
the
right,
time. Yeah. It's 750 miles, and some year a little bit longer, 760 miles, depends on if there's construction, they have to reroute us.
yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. Well, I would love to get back to more of the past achievements that you've had and also future ones, but I have a couple other questions just to break it up here. We could discuss these a little shorter length. Um, one fun one that I think that I always like asking other cyclists. I mean, we've accomplished a lot, especially for those of us who have been in ultra cycling for many years. But I know, including myself in the very beginning, I didn't have certain disciplines. I didn't have the nutrition strategy or the pacing strategy that would help me to be successful. So, have you ever DNF'd or not completed a ride before, whatever the distance, and what for what reason?
Oh, you know, out of the 75 doubles I finished, I probably rolled at least 80. And I
Wow.
remember quite a few DNFs. Of course, there's two DNFs that I really like to come back and complete is the Alta Alpina 8 pass.
Oh yeah.
That one, didn't acclimate to the altitude
Hmm.
and finished 6 out of 8. And then the second one is the
Well,
terrible two.
well, that's a great achievement, right? Because there is also Another event. I'm just blanking right now. What is that other event that's
Oh,
very
Death
popular?
Ride.
Death Ride, Death Ride.
Yeah, 5 passes.
Right,
Yeah.
5 passes. So you did 6. So you did the Death Ride plus an extra one.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, everyone
I've done
else
the Death
was
Ride multiple
uh,
times. That's why
okay.
I wanna try the Alta Opinion 8 pass
Right,
and DNF. I
right.
did not meet the cutoff for monitor pass at 7
Okay,
p.m. So that was and I would love to come back and, and do that again. The second DNF would be terrible too. Another tough climbing event in the heat
right. In the
and
Santa Rosa, so northern, like pretty
yes,
far
yes,
North California. Very, it gets very
the
hot there.
hot geyser get hot and
Where did you DNF on Terrible 2?
um, at lunchtime. I missed the cutoff at lunch.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right.
So, the
Well,
first part, descending geyser, I thought maybe I can make up the time, but it was a hard descent because a lot of gravel section. You can't go, you can't really bomb down the hill and try to make up for your slow
right.
climbing geyser. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess goes back to, pacing strategy, overall
Mhm.
race strategy, because sometimes you might try to be conservative, maybe when it's extra hot or when the terrain is extra hilly, try to save your energy for a
Mhm.
part that you're better suited at, maybe the flats or the downhills. But then you have to remember that there's other elements and
Mhm.
environment to have to battle against. And that's something that I had encountered as well, especially bicycling across America. There's all kinds of terrain, and
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
yeah, the first time you go across, a lot of it you don't even expect, because even on a double century, you encounter a lot. But when you're crossing so many states across the 3,000 miles, especially in the race across America, there's just a lot
Mhm.
of other surprises and things you never even consider.
Yeah. The race across America, middle of June, you have snow on top of Wolf Creek Pass.
Right,
And then, of course, the desert of Utah, and then the Great Plains, Kansas. So you encounter, at least 4 different climates:
right.
high desert and the uh, altitude of Colorado, the plains, and then you have the Appalachians toward the east. So,
Now, what year did you do the race across America? And from my understanding, you did it in a 4-person relay team,
no, 8 person relay team
8-person
in
relay team.
2019, last year. Yeah.
How was the weather for you?
Oh, we had a hailstorm in Monument Pass, and it was pretty crazy. You see the storm coming.
Right.
But other than that, it's very mild, I have to say, um, last year.
Okay, so
The tough part for 8 person team is, I think, it's the logistics. We had 2 teams of 4 alternating racing and just try to coordinate with the crew members and us 8. But we finished in 8 days and change. And I forgot the hours, but basically about 8 days.
that's great. Yeah, I really love that and would love to get back on that also, because I think there's a lot to learn there. But would also love to learn about what else you have for your future plans and what's on your bucket list. I mean, you've accomplished so much already and you've been riding for a very long time. What keeps you ticking?
Rest of the year, we are allowed to ride a virtual double century. Basically, you would meet the 200 miles requirement with the minimum vertical gain. Like the Grand Tour is 5,000 feet. So you pick a route that you like near where you're at and ride 200 miles with 5,000 feet of climbing.
Yeah, it's really great that that option is available. I've been pretty busy this year with a different adventure. I have a newborn
Oh, of
son,
course.
4 months
Yes.
old.
Congratulations. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Now, so I've been kind of out of the loop with the double centuries, but I do receive the emails on the mailing list still. So I've seen some emails regarding the virtual rides, but didn't really know the format. So it's cool to hear that from my, if I'm understanding you correctly, you don't have to go to do the actual course. You could just do it wherever you are.
Yes. Just to minimize the um, unnecessary travel. non-essential travel. So,
Right.
Carmel Valley Double this year will follow the same format. The minimum vertical gain will be 10,000 feet for the lowland.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good point that you brought that up because you are the founder and organizer of the Carmel Valley Double Century. Started a few years ago. What year was that?
2016 is our inaugural ride.
No way.
Yeah, and
Over four
you,
years ago.
yes, and you remember, I think you were on that ride. We
Right.
had the, I believe, Sobarani fires in
Yes.
Big Sur and the chimney fires in Hesperia Hall, which is the two ends. So we
Right.
have to do a lot of rerouting and get the permit the last minute so that we still have the event schedule.
Yeah, I
That
remember
was a
that
very
year.
hectic year, our first year. Yes.
I can imagine. I'm sure you've learned a lot through that.
Yeah.
And I remember riding that with Jason Perez actually.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't even think he registered. I think he just came out to ride with me and we
He
did
did.
that
He did.
together.
He did. He did
Oh, he did.
register at the very end.
Oh, right, right. Okay.
Day of ride
Oh,
registration.
yeah. Actually, I do remember that.
Mhm.
And that course at the very end, we did do quite a bit of the actual course, but we did an out and back. Where was that
Correct.
to again?
Correct. It's out and back. You would climb Carmel Valley Road twice. There's no coastal route
That's right.
because, yeah.
But the next year, it was the regular course, I believe. Or was
Actually,
that 2 years
no.
later? That was 2 years after.
2017, we had the storm that caused the landslide on Highway
Right.
1. So there's
That's right.
closure.
That's right.
So it was also an out and back in 2017. We had the full loop last 2 years, 18 and
Right.
19.
Okay. So
And
yes,
here we are, 2020.
yeah, I know, I can't believe it. And now there's the pandemic.
That's right, yes. And now
But
you can
I
ride
remember,
virtually.
yeah, I remember doing it in 2016 first year. I believe I skipped 2017. I was disappointed that it wasn't the actual route again. But then in 2018, I
Yes,
believe it was, came back with Jason. We did it again, and it was the
yes.
full loop. Wasn't as fit that year, but really enjoyed the coastal section. It's
Hmm.
just breathtaking. Even though I've lived here in the Bay Area of California as well for almost over 20 years, I believe. Actually hadn't ridden that portion before on Highway 1 and really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
Just
beautiful
breathtaking.
coastline,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
And of course, the famous climb, Nacimiento Ferguson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal after. I mean, for the Carmel Valley Double, by the time you get to that section, I mean, you're at what, mile 80, 90?
No, it's more than halfway. It's about 115, I believe.
Oh,
You
okay.
start climbing that,
Yeah,
and you already have at least about 9,000 feet accumulated in your legs,
right.
8,500 to 9,000 feet already. The total
Yeah.
climbing is 14,000. So,
Right. So that one is quite a bit of punishment.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Glad you will be able to do that as a virtual ride this year. What is the date of the ride, or how do you work that? Are there several
So
days or a week
the
or
date, the actual date is August 29th. So riders have 2 weeks before or 2 weeks after. So basically August 15th to September 12th.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah. So pick any route that you ride 200 miles with 10,000 feet minimum.
Oh, that's great. So plenty of flexibility, no excuses for anybody to not sign up and do it, right?
Yes.
Geez, even for myself, if you get four weeks to do it, I maybe that's enough time to train.
Wow. Okay, please. I think you can do it in the Livermore area. It's Mines Road, repeat on the backside of Mount Ham. You know,
Right.
get
Well,
the tour.
Carmel, that whole course isn't too far away. So I'd
Uh-huh.
imagine the people that live nearby in the Bay Area, they may just opt to do the actual
Yes.
course. Yeah.
Right now we have quite a few interests doing the actual course. Only my friends in Southern Cal
Right.
will ride the virtual, but
Mm,
most folk in the Bay Area will actually travel to King City. And the nice thing is you can do the loop anywhere. So you can start in Carmel and do the loop,
right.
or Big Sur and do the loop. And just to get 10,000 feet in is not that that hard.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, just to be clear, there is no official support for that. So it would be effectively like brevet style.
Correct, brevet style, or I mentioned that the rider will have their own members of their quarantine bubble to support them
Mm.
during the pandemic, just to avoid risk of exposure.
Mm. Yeah. So on that note, yesterday you did the virtual Grand Tour double. Love that actual ride, that beautiful one down there, starting in the Malibu area. Who were you riding with yesterday?
Yeah, I was riding with three other friends from Armadan Cycle Touring Club, and definitely self-supported. We have supported in Pescadero and Half Moon Bay, basically, gas station, 7-Eleven, just to get food. And we park our car strategically in the middle. You do 50 miles out and back. That's 100. And
Okay.
then back to your car and do another 50 miles out and back. Um, so you have to plan these things so you can support yourself.
Right. Yeah, and on that subject, I suppose, and kind of going towards, training and your training routine and your week to week schedule. It's true that even training for a long ride, let alone a 200-mile ride or longer, it does require a lot of logistics. Even if you're doing your own ride, I mean, in terms of finding a route, and for 100 miles, 200 miles, that kind of route, I mean, you will, if you're riding yourself, especially, you need to, make sure you can be able to refill your bottles, or there's going to be a gas station, and you have to kind of identify all these points of interest
Yes.
ahead of time.
Mhm.
So I guess a lot of us as ultra cyclists, we've kind of developed that skill, right? To be able to
Yes.
plan out courses and plan out,
Yes.
well, effectively a whole day trip.
Correct. And when I organize event, I'm a ride leader for the Armadan Cycle Touring Club, and I identify where to get water around 25 mile. That distance is good for folks to get a quick rest stop and then get water. Um, and you identify the market or the Safeway. We love Safeway as a randonneur. It open
Yeah.
24 hours. We
Okay.
identify where the 24-hour Safeway, because a lot of brevet we ride through the night.
All right. So sounds like we need to get Safeway as a sponsor for brevets and ultra cyclists.
Exactly. Safeway, and what's the other one? Circle K.
Oh yeah, yeah. Very cool. Um, on the subject of training, what does it look like for you? I mean, it sounds like you mostly do very long rides, but in your training, I mean, are you doing shorter rides for on certain days? Like 20 or
Mhm.
30 miles only. What does that look like for you week to week?
I we need the base mile. So I try to ride at least 150 to 200 miles a week as base. So my ride with the club is about 50 miles, and then my ride that I come out and ride is about 50 miles with at least 5,000 feet of climbing. So I call the club 100,
Hmm,
100 feet for every mile. So
right.
that gets you both the vertical gain and the mileage.
Yeah, that sounds like a good rule of thumb for
Yeah.
structuring some training. Now, how about when you're, well, okay, where are you currently in your fitness? Where would you say a scale 1 to 10, 10 being, just excellent
Oh,
fitness right now?
as of now, because of shelter in place, I think I'm at 6. I was
Oh,
a
really?
lot fitter last year, training for race across America.
Right.
Definitely gained weight this year,
Okay. So your
and
climbing has slowed down a
yes,
bit on the climbing
yes,
segments, if we looked at
climbing
those.
exactly. And
But how about the descents? Have those improved?
I don't know, but I just Strava tells you. The Strava, it
Right.
tells you where you at, and
Right.
the numbers you okay compared to last year.
Yeah. So
Not that
so are
bad.
you saying also, I mean, not just say maybe power speed, but are you saying overall mileage is much lower also than last year?
Oh, correct, because I'm not riding as often.
Hmm.
Um, uh, we don't have all brevets are canceled
Mm.
since March. I rode my last brevet in February, San Luis Obispo, 300 kilometers. It was in late February. So,
Wow, yeah, definitely the
although,
pandemic has changed a
yeah,
lot, but glad there are the virtual rides, and I guess it looks like for the foreseeable future we'll have to have a lot of those.
yeah, be safe, stay well, and stay
Yeah,
healthy. That's my goal for this year, and
right.
hopefully, this too shall pass.
Yeah, I think it will, and fortunately we have ultra endurance built into our spirit, so I'm sure we'll be able to make it through.
I hope so.
Now, on the subject of training for, the Race Across America, Paris, and all these other longer events, 508 that you've done, what does that look like in the months leading up to those kinds of events?
I remember last year for cardio training, I took a spin class and also cross train with uh, uh, cross CrossFit with some weight training, CrossFit, and spin class. It helped me a lot. And this year, because of the closure of the gyms and fitness center, so that's missing in my training right now. But I do cross train with weights at home just to get the impact, because cyclists, we don't have the impact.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
it's good
compared to
for the
like
bones,
runners, for
I'm
example.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. What percentage would you say was cross training, last year when you were doing a lot of training, or if you were able to go to the gym, today, and this year, if it weren't for the pandemic, what percent would you say you're spending, spinning, doing weights,
Um,
power training?
about two spinning class a week, and also two CrossFit classes a week. So
So it sounds like
yeah,
quite a bit, actually.
yeah, oh yeah. I leading up to June, I begin since February to June. Those 4 months, it got me in shape. Yeah.
And how about in terms of mileage? How do you ramp up your mileage? I mean, you said for base train, you're about 50 to 200 miles a week. For something like the 8-person RAM or PBP or say the 508, what does it look like? I mean, when do you start ramping up? Is it just within the last month, the last 2 months? And when do you start tapering
Well,
off to
for
prepare?
me, it's at least 4 months, at least. February always the starting of the brevet season. I know some people start in January, uh, but I like February. Just you know, the weather is a little better, not as wet,
Right.
and and the long rides usually in June, in say RAM or the long brevet, the 1200K, usually in June to September. So your perform will peak around midsummer.
Right. So you typically start ramping up 4 months before your key events.
Mhm.
When do you start tapering off to recover for an event?
Usually about a week taper, meaning um, I do less climbing and more flat spinning, just to get the legs, still have that base mile. Um, yeah, I think about a week and a half.
Hmm,
You gotta keep active. To me, it's
right.
right. I'm not a racer, so I all my brevets, they call me a full value rider, meaning if
Uh-huh.
it's give me 90 hours, I'm gonna finish in 89 hours or 88,
Oh,
which I
cool.
did.
Right.
2015 was 89 hours PBP, and last year I finished in 88, just 1 hour faster.
Wow. All right. Okay. So it sounds like you've got at least one other nickname, Full Value.
Full value. That's it.
Uh,
You gotta stop, take pictures, enjoy the ride. So that's the
Definitely.
difference between racing and randonneuring. You ride against the clock, but also yourself. You
Yeah.
somehow improve what you've done before. So
Mm,
you're a
mm,
better rider than the previous event. Yeah, that's
yeah.
all.
And I think
I'm not,
that's
I'm not
central.
racing against anyone.
Right. Well, yourself, and that is a big competitor that we
Uh-huh.
all have. And
Yes.
yeah, definitely. I think, the competition, even with ourselves and the constant improvement is something that we all as ultra cyclists have at the center of our hearts. And that's what keeps us going, just that constant improvement, looking back, lessons that we can learn and the will to keep doing better and, the great adventures of the outdoor. And it sounds like you probably have a ton of experience across the nation, and it sounds like even parts of the world like Vietnam. So you've probably seen a lot of beautiful scenery, landscapes. What are some of your favorites? I mean, you've biked 3,000 miles across America twice. What stood out to you, and what would you just love to go back to if you could bike there, almost every weekend? Where would you want to be?
Um, well, in the U.S., I have to say Colorado. It's
Rocky Mountains?
yes, it's just mountainous terrain,
Yeah.
and the roads are nice, wider bike lanes, and I don't know. It's just the mountain. It's so majestic, and Wolf Creek Pass is just amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that section.
Right. The Great
Um,
Divide.
yeah, exactly, the Great
Yes.
Divide. Um, and in Vietnam, riding through the rice field, the remote road, and you got the terrace rice field because of the mountainous terrain. So they would carve out a section they call terrace rice field. It's beautiful. Wish I have a picture to show you with the water buffalo and the kids, trying to herd them. It it
Wow.
it, it just bring back memory, and it's
Mm.
peaceful.
Mm.
It's very peaceful, serene. That's a word.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could imagine just like a lot of the places you go across America, or even on a lot of double centuries, you just get to areas where it's so peaceful, untouched
Hmm.
land, just the beauty of nature. I mean, the Carmel
Yes.
Valley Double, which you organize along the coast, California is
Hmm.
well known for Highway 1, all from San Francisco all the way down to the LA area, and just breathtaking views, the air, the environment.
Yeah, you have to soak in all of that. So,
Mm.
I like randonneuring. I like just, riding, supporting yourself, and take time to enjoy, and definitely not racing at all.
Yeah. Now, tell me a little bit about your nutritional strategy. You did mention the Masubis. You mentioned that you like drinking water. Tell me a little bit more about what you do, say in training, and then also for like a brevet or even something as long as PvP.
Hmm. I like the liquid diet, easy on your stomach. I'm not sponsored by any of them, but I like
Yeah.
Infinite Nutrition and Tailwind, introduced to me by a great friend, Sherston Walker.
Oh yeah.
She's a very fast cyclist, and she mentioned these things, and it's okay. I'll try, and it's good. That it helped you with the calorie intakes, and you can maintain your speed and your performance with by just taking liquid food. So I like that aspect. But definitely at lunchtime, like halfway through, I always have to have solid food. It's just the way I am, and I like
Mhm.
something solid in the stomach. And
Now, in something like PvP or a multi-day thing, I mean, are you as you're riding, are you mostly consuming liquid then? Or for something that's so long like that and you're going for several days, are you adding more solids into your nutrition?
you have to, at least for
Mm.
me, I in France, they have this great, the great pastries,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
pan
Nice.
or chocolate bread, and many goodies. I like the baguette, ham and cheese,
Oh
the
yeah. Now we're
jambon
talking.
fromage, yes, and
Yeah.
those things are great. I
Yeah.
did carry the first 2 days. I bring powder, the Infinite Nutrition
Right.
in my saddlebag for a late night that if you can't find food.
Okay. So good
But
backup.
mhm. But one thing about the PVP is the locals on the route, they
Mhm.
would come out 2 a.m. in the morning with the whole family, cheering you on and trying to feed you while all the restaurant, all the places are closed. You would see
Hmm.
families out there. When you come to a town early in the morning, 2 a.m., people cheering you on. So I really like
Wow.
that event because of that aspect.
Right.
Um, it's an international event, and every 4 years. So, and it's just so inspiring to see this level of support.
Right.
And some one place I forgot the name. This famous place that the person, the guy, would just ask for a postcard when you get back to the state. Send him a postcard. So he gave me an address, and
Wow.
and of course he had treats, coffee, and the pastries, and did not ask for any donation. Just send me a postcard, and he showed me this whole bulletin board with thousands of postcards from all
Wow.
over the world. And when I
That's
got back, I
awesome.
did that. So, yeah, very nice. That's interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love about, being part of the ultra cycling family, and just as a cyclist in general, just the community. There's so much support and of one another as cyclists, and also people in the community. I know in the Race Across America, there's the same kind of sentiment as you go in all across the states. A lot of people coming out to cheer,
Hmm.
a lot of people supporting, and many that come out every single year.
Yes, of course. My favorite place, Congress, Arizona. My
Oh yeah,
friends from the bull
bull
shifters.
shifters. Yeah,
Yes, and then Ohio. I got Lee. The friend from Ohio, the RAAM
right,
show in
right.
Ohio. So
So, what do you think most people don't realize about ultra cycling, whether it's a non-cyclist or it's a non-ultra cyclist?
none. Well, I wouldn't say I am an ultra cyclist. It's just I'm a randonneur. Definitely, I'm a
You're
randonneur.
definitely an ultra cyclist. You've bicycled across America twice. You've done the 508. You've done PvP twice.
For me, you have to stick with it. You just don't give up. Stick with it. You know, um, when I met my friend Chuck Schroyer, and I told him that I've done several double centuries, and he smiled and said, "That's my warm up ride," because he done PvP, he done the 508. 200 miles is a warm up ride. So I
Mm,
think, wow. And I was crewing for Chuck that year, and I met him in 2013, and he actually introduced me to brevet style riding, and that's how I get into 400K, 600K, and a 1200K.
mm.
So there you go. Just stick with
Yeah.
the distance that you're comfortable with, and push yourself. Push the envelope, and who knows? You
Yeah. Next thing you know, you're biking
yeah,
across America and doing
yeah,
PvP.
exactly, exactly. You have to get a bit crazy
Right.
and see. Yeah,
But it does sound like, would you say Chuck was a bit of a role model
he's
or
a
an
mentor.
inspiration,
Yes,
mentor?
yeah.
And
Mhm.
would you say it's, I mean, for a lot of people that may even be bicyclists, I mean, if they think about 200 miles, especially ones that race, they're thinking, geez, racing 200 miles, that'd be really tiring. They don't realize, okay, you could bike a little slower. So maybe it's very intimidating. I remember growing up when I was even before college and just hearing about the double centuries before I even started. And I thought, wow, 200 miles, even just doing that, that's a long distance,
Mhm.
and it was difficult to even get into. But fortunately for me, I had what you could call a mentor or somebody to kind of hold my hand through it, and that was my older brother. Actually, he was the one that got me into ultra cycling and cycling in general. Would you say Chuck was that to you, somebody that kind of
Yes,
helped you?
definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I met him in 2013. Crew for Chuck for the 508, and then start riding a lot of brevets with Chuck. And
Right.
then I took him and other friend to Vietnam, and we rode across the country. So it's been a wonderful years learning from the the masters. Yes, long
Yeah.
distance cycling, and of course for Chuck, the hydration would be IPA. And he told
Right.
me about 100 miles. You need to drink a beer. For Chuck, 100
So,
mile, he drink two. I only drink one is enough.
so what would you give to a I don't know, non-cyclist or non-ultra endurance cyclist as tips and ways to get started? I mean, would you say trying to find a mentor, maybe set in a local club? I mean, you have a club of your own, the XDV team, and I'm sure you have mentored and led a lot of people from just doing 50 miles or 100 miles to doing longer distances, 200 miles. Maybe they've done relay teams for even longer multi-day events.
I would say just ride. Um, the distance you're comfortable with, and slowly increase the mileage and the climbing, and definitely find a club that will nurture, with the other riders with the same interests. You know, um, like Armadan Cycle Touring Club, there's different rating of the rides. You pick the ride that that fits you in terms of the pace, the speed, and the amount of climbing. So join a club and riding with friends. For me, when I joined ACTC, Armadan Cycle Touring Club, I learned a lot from the folks about climbing, about pacing, um, and just having fun doing it. Basically, for me, having fun doing it, and of course, you always push yourself. Let's do something longer, climb, do everything, you know, 30,000 feet in one ride. Okay.
Right. And that's getting really popular. I actually just read due to the pandemic, people like Alberto Contador have been
Yes,
pro cyclists have been tackling that as well and
I
and breaking
know.
each other's records.
I know. Just a bit over
Yeah.
7 hours now. Oh my God.
Yeah. Now on that subject, have you ever Everested on a ride or plan
I
to?
I attempt one Everesting, but I only reach 21,000 feet. I could have go on, but no legs left, and I decided two other friends they finished the 2996, and I only finished about 21,000. So I'm just way behind. And decided to call it.
Wow. Now
But
you were doing repeats at a local hill, or where were you
a
doing
local
them?
hill, Hassler Parkway, the
Oh, okay.
from Doe, which is the steeper side. We need 66 repeats. I
Wow.
think.
Geez,
Wow, yeah.
keeping track of that number, that's difficult. I mean, how did you keep track?
Strava. I mean,
Okay.
your Garmin tell you that
Yeah.
basically you don't care about the distance. It's you look at the vertical gain, and
Right.
by the
Right.
calculation, you need 66 repeats. And I lost count. I just look at my vertical gain,
Right.
accumulated. All right.
Very cool. So, do you have plans to do another one in the near future? Maybe this
Yeah.
year or 2021?
Yes. That's on my list. Probably. Well, I met another friend that did the Seattle Road.
Oh wow.
30,
Yeah.
32 times or something. Isn't that
Wow.
crazy? Sierra, I would pick something shorter. And of course, I just found out another friend, Ken Owen. You probably know Ken. 11 times on Mount Diablo
Wow.
to reach 10,000 meter, which is
Yeah.
34,000 feet. That's a
Yeah.
different club, by the way. They call it 10K club.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, so a lot of things to look forward to, even just watching your journey. I mean, you've accomplished so much, but sounds like the fire isn't simmering down at all. It sounds like you're just in the middle of it, and in fact,
Yes.
there's more to see. Maybe a solo ram one day.
Oh, I would definitely do a four-person ram. That's on the
Okay.
horizon, and hopefully two-person. But I never think of a solo. Definitely, four-man is within reach, and there's talked about that in 2021. I haven't decided yet, but
Oh, fantastic.
four-person ram, yes.
Well, we'll definitely have to have you on the show again then,
Okay.
because I'm sure between now and then you're gonna do a lot of other cool things. And if you do end up Everesting again, we'd love to be able to chat about that also.
You have to join me, Justin.
Yeah, maybe I will. We're around the same neck of the woods, and
Yes.
and we have ridden together on a number of occasions. I remember we did a ride starting in Livermore. We went through Del Puerto Canyon.
Oh, yes.
That was the
Yeah.
first time I did that, and it was a beautiful. That
Yes,
was, I think, during the winter or late fall,
correct.
and
It was
so it is
the late
green,
fall.
lush,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that ended up going to Mount Hamilton area. Although we turned right on Mines Road to go back
Hmm.
to Livermore. I remember.
Yeah. Very nice route. Yes, I remember.
Well, Zung, really been a pleasure to be able to meet you here on the Inter Roads
Oh,
and chat a little bit about ultra cycling. And well, I'll definitely look forward to being able to follow your journey and chatting again soon as we get the show really rolling here. And I'd say we're just on mile 100 of 3,000 for this program. So really glad to
yeah.
have you as one of our early guests and a very special and accomplished guest, in fact. So it's a great way to kick it off. And I just love to end this nice discussion with you with a sprint round to the finish line. Just a couple other short questions, just a one or two line, just to end on a fun note. All right. First
Okay.
question: when is your next long training ride?
This coming Tuesday, we're doing 60 miles in Saratoga, climbing Highway 9 and Skyline.
Oh, beautiful! I love that. Are you going to be going on over to the other side to Highway One?
No, just Saratoga,
Uh-huh.
Skyline to Woodside and
Okay,
take the flat road back.
beautiful. How would you rate yourself within in terms of bicycle maintenance? Scale 1 to 10. 10, you're great. You're always, oiling, lubing, adjusting your derailleurs, and one being you just don't really do much except when a tire falls off.
I would say 7. I
7?
learned a lot from my friend Chuck. Chuck is definitely a 10. He can fix anything. And by, watching him and helping him, with bicycle, I've learned. So I would say a 7.
Oh, that's
I
great.
was a 5, 4, 10 years ago, but now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, you already own 4 bicycles and you have a very nice steel frame, but do you have another dream bicycle?
Wow, for a cyclist, I like the Dogma, the what's the F12 now. Um, it just the slick look of it, and but then that's just in the back. I do like riding steel frame. It's just looking
Yeah.
at the Pinarello. Somehow it's just the way they designed the bicycle with all the curves.
Mm.
I own a Prince Carbon and a Dogma, and I really like the design.
All right. Well, we'll
It
look.
looks good, but
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you on that, looking good.
okay. And
Last
thanks,
question,
Justin.
Zung. Who do you want to nominate for a future episode? Could be one person, could be multiple people. Who would you love to hear from? And who do you think's story or things that they've accomplished would be interesting, and you would even just love to hear more from them?
Of course, it's, he's my partner in crime, Chuck Schroyer. You got to talk to Chuck. A lot of story. He's been riding since the 80s. Okay.
Wow.
Um, and, long distance riding, double century, 508, way back.
Yeah.
And he crew for a team, a race across America as a crew chief. So talk to Chuck Schroyer.
All right.
Oh,
Sounds like.
actually, he's
Uh-huh.
also going to be in the race across Oregon this week
Wow.
with my
Awesome.
randonneur friend, Dorina.
Oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
so
Two-person relay team.
no,
Oh,
a
okay.
solo, and also
Oh.
also interview Dorina. It's hard to pronounce her last name. Vacharoni,
Hmm.
great randonneur. She's
Hmm.
a Olympics gold medalist in the sport of fencing, foil
Wow.
fencing, turned ultra endurance cyclist. So
Wow, that is going to
those
be
are
an
the two
interesting
names.
story then.
Yes, Chuck Shore and Dorina. Okay,
All right, sounds good. We'll look
so
forward
I
to
gave
being
you
able to chat with
two. You
them.
asked for one.
No, that's perfect. And I know you're very connected with through your club, and I'm sure there's many talented athletes there with big ambitions because the leader that they're following has accomplished a lot and is a very ambitious, well, crazy ultra cyclists like the rest of us. So Zung, it's been such a pleasure. Been great to chat with you, catch up on all things ultra cycling, and we'll look forward to staying in touch. And definitely would love to do the Carmel Double again in the near future. I know there's still a bit of time for me to train, even to do it this year. So we'll see.
Yes, definitely, Justin. And thank you for having me here
Yeah,
and being your first guest for this show.
thanks, Zung. Well, everyone, thanks a lot for tuning into the Ultra Cycling Show with our special guest today, Dzung Dang. Check him out on Strava and sign up for the Carmel Valley Double Century in California. You'll definitely not be disappointed with the views, especially in Highway 1. And it is not an easy course. If you're looking for a challenge, that's your ride to do. Until the next episode, take care, ride safe.